Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Kinversations. I'm John Armstrong. I help the Ontario Kinesiology Association with their government and stakeholder relations. And I am here with our usual guest, the president of the Ontario Kinesiology Association, Devon Blackburn. Hi, Devon.
Hello, guys.
And John Gray. And John Gray is a longtime kinesiologist, a longtime veteran on the board of the OKA, was instrumental in helping to make kinesiology a regulated health profession. He's been active with the college. He's been active all over the place. But actually, John, what are you doing right now?
I'm switching between in-clinic clientele. As you can see, I wanted to have a nice backdrop for you guys. I do a lot of in-home work as well, and definitely, like a lot of our colleagues, we picked up a lot of online work as well. But one of the other things I'm really working into, and it's been amazing that with the change in work structures, it's been really hard to find time to complete this education business side. On the one hand, I want to make sure that it is 100%, the best that it could possibly be. And the other piece is I really want to make sure that it's free to our other kins who are out there. Getting a hold of good quality information that's also presented in a systematic way. The fact is that my opinion is I didn't make any of this up. Like this isn't my material. This is the same material that other health professions have been learning in their schools. And that I've learned from other people who have just borrowed it from textbooks as well. And with the way that education is changing, everything going online, I think there's a value to when you can deliver something in person. And that's when I think that it would be worth charging something. But I think there's a bigger value in making sure that all of our colleagues in kinesiology are able to kind of like raise their level of knowledge in orthopedic rehab, and musculoskeletal assessment and interventions, just generally. And if I can help in any kind of a way to facilitate that, I want to. So that's like the passion project that's on the side. That's not really going to pay the bills, but it'll keep me kind of interested and also feed very well back into working with clients.
I think too, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, you are working on some of those courses that we're going to, the Ontario Kinesiology Association is going to bring to members through our KEEN program, our Kinesiology Evidence and Engagement Network. So we're certainly looking forward to you helping us bring those to the membership.
But thank you. Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting them done for you guys too.
Yeah, but you're not here to talk about that today. You're actually you have another subject that you want to talk about that I don't actually even really know what it is. So what's our subject for today, John?
Well, why are kinesiologists leaving the profession 3 to 5 years in? Now, the reason how this came around, and I promise I'll try to stay away from tangents. I am prone to them. But
tangents are okay. I don't mind tangents.
Okay, we'll try to cover all the content still, but I'll do my best.
He's used to tangents with me, John. He's used to tangents with me too. So have at it.
I like a good tangent. Awesome. Yeah.
So what had happened was as you said, I'm close to the college. Was a peer assessor. I've seen a lot of different people in our profession working in a lot of different roles, everything from ergonomists straight through to physical therapy assistants, to kinesiologists with a wide variety of different roles and ATs. I've assessed ATs as well. So in taking a look at this whole thing, and I was trying to do some research for my courses, I wanted to know what's my audience. And so I contacted the college and I said, don't we have survey information that is publicly available, or at least available to our members? And could you help me out with this? And so they sent it to me and it said, here's where everybody's working. And as I expected, a lot of people are working in the clinical realm. Probably close to or over half of our overall membership is in that realm in one way or another. And then I took a look at the number of people who are in our profession with different years of experience. So it went from 0, which is like this would be their first year as a kin, all the way through to, and I was amazed to find out that there are people with over 30 years of experience as a kinesiologist. And it's like, wow, I'd love to meet them, because I think I'm part of the old guard. You know, like I could think about the people who I was on the board with and who I know are still around. I couldn't imagine that there was anybody before us, basically, but they're there.
We worked for a long time with Janice Ray, who was like one of the first classes of graduates out of the University of Waterloo. She was on the board for a very long time until just last few years. You've got a chart. You've got a chart that to show us, right? Do you want to share your screen?
Okay, so one second. Sorry, give me a second. So go share. Okay.
There
Can
we
you see
go.
that?
Yep.
Is that full screen for you guys?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, great. So as you can see, so the very leftmost column in blue.
Actually, if you can move it up a little, yeah. Oh, there we go. That's good. That's better. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't do anything.
No, it's just that there's a bar across mine that disappeared.
So. Oh, okay. On mine, it's a smaller window on my screen. So, but as long as you guys are getting full screen, that's fine. You'll have to edit this section out. I apologize. So we'll see. This would be
editing.
the leftmost bar is 2019 when the data was taken. So this is kind of like most of the way through the year, possibly, etc. But then we see 3 years where it's pretty consistent, right? So it would be 2018, 2017, 2016, going left to right. Those are 3 bars that are pretty close to each other toward the left. And then we just see it drop off. And the big question is, like, especially between years 3 and years like 7.
Yeah.
Why did it drop so heavily? And so I asked the college, I said, did we have some really crazy swing in membership? Like, in fact, if you follow it from right to left, that would be enrollments. So I said, did college and like registrations absolutely spike? Did you guys get like over twice as many registrations year to year between like 2016, 2017? And they said, no, we haven't seen anything. I said, this is crazy. Do you know the number of people who have left the profession year to year? So these are the people who are currently registered with a certain number of years of experience, but how do we know what that year started with? Like, what's the decay? And they said, we could get that information, but it would require huge effort. I said, that's okay, as long as you can tell me that we're not looking at like some kind of an artifact here. It was just like some weird thing. They said, no, in fact, what you're seeing is real. People generally don't make it past 5 years in the profession. And so that led me to the conversation with Devon, which was why? Why do you think that happened? And because this is unusual. The stuff after, from maybe like years 7 or 8 and on, you see it's more of a gradual decline. That's what you'd like, a decay. You'd expect to see that every year, a couple more leave every year, etc., until you're left with fewer. There should definitely be fewer people with 20 years of experience than there are with 2 years of experience. We would expect that. But this curve is crazy. And so why is that? So I have a couple of ideas.
What are your ideas?
Okay, should we go back to away from share screen?
Sure.
You guys can't see me right now, right?
No, we can.
Yep, we
Oh,
can.
you can see me version? Oh.
Yeah.
All right.
You can leave. Actually, you can leave. Never mind. That's fine. That's fine.
Okay, sorry about that. I just want to see you guys when I'm speaking with you as well.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
a couple of things.
What do you think?
Well, people don't really appreciate this when they leave school, but in order to be successful as a kinesiologist, having an entrepreneurial approach is very useful. Making it through, if you take a look at the people who've really been in the profession for 10 plus years, they've really driven their own direction. They've gone out and they've searched for education in an area that they find that they're really passionate about. They get the certifications or the courses or just the training that they need. But if you're a new graduate and you're just looking to to start working somewhere. It's highly competitive because the stakes are a lot higher. Now that we're regulated, there's a lot more that's being asked of us. The costs of a regulation or registration are much higher than certification ever was. And oftentimes, because there's so many, or the number of jobs that are out there are so highly competitive, you might see the dollar amount drop down. And so I think that what happens is people they'll try something for a little bit of time. Maybe they hit about 3 years and then they think, this just isn't happening for me. There's no career path. A physiotherapist gets out or a chiropractor gets out, they kind of know what they're going to do. They know the courses they're going to take. They know basically what's expected of them in a clinic. And the KINs, because we have much more variety or variation in our practices, it's harder to determine that unless you really make a solid effort earlier on. I think it's also one of the real reasons why master's programs in kinesiology are so popular. People are getting out and they're saying, now what? This looks really scary. Maybe this place is going to have the answer for me.
There's not a lot of there's not a lot of opportunity for advancement. Basically, if you're working in a clinic environment as a kin, would that be is that a problem?
No less than any other health professional.
I would add, if you don't have that entrepreneurial component to yourself, then yeah, you're going to be pigeonholed, and from my experience, you get left with doing whatever the physio has prescribed to you to do with the client. Though
Right.
you yourself have, I find anyways, John, if you have that undergraduate degree, you're registered with the college, you have enough know-how to take a look at that client and go, okay, this is working, this is not working. But if you've been pigeonholed and you don't have that entrepreneurial skill set, that's where, you and I spoke about how we might disagree on PTA positions, but that's where you get sort of, I find, slotted into that. You're just an assistant. Do what you're told. You have enough to do what you're told, and there's no recognition that, no, actually, I have autonomy to make changes in treatment that's being provided to the clients. So
Well,
that's pigeonholed, right?
It really comes down to any PTA position that's like the way you described, and I know that they're out there. I would hate to see an RKN working in that environment. I basically say, go and get a PTA certified person.
Yeah.
If that's what the job entails, do it. But you know what? I mean, a little while ago, I saw online through some of the social media channels a bit of career shaming. People, you shouldn't be taking those PTA jobs. The only way that KINs keep getting these PTA jobs is they keep getting hired into them. Like, don't apply to them and then you won't have that problem. Well, you can't make that kind of a determination on somebody's life. Maybe it's the difference between working in a job that's at least related to the field that you want to have a career in versus bussing tables or working in a non-clinical environment. And I ask them as well. I say, okay, well, let's say I go away. I turn down the PTA job, and then I do a job where I'm doing something completely out of the field. But then I got an opportunity to volunteer at a premier clinic. And now I'm not getting paid anything. Is that better? Well, yeah, we usually would say, oh, wow, you're volunteering at that place. Or you got an apprenticeship at this other clinic. Wow, they're really well known. Aren't you lucky? That's really amazing. Hang on a second, I'm not getting paid. And guess what? You're doing about the same thing you'd be doing. You're taking orders. You're not given any opportunity to make decisions. Now, I want to blow your mind a little bit on this.
I'm ready
I
for
started, most people are people. There are, like you said, there are clinics like the one you described where it's basically like, do the job, don't challenge me.
Yeah.
The vast majority of clinic owners and physios are dying for KINs to take the show some proactive nature, show the initiative, exactly. Turn around and say, like when you're given a referral through, let's say I'm in a PTA role, and the physio walks in with Mr. Jones. Mr. Jones has a little back pain. I've just given his assessment. I want you to show him the following 3 exercises. Why is that physio asking you to do it that way? Well, maybe because if you've just been hired into the job, this is the level that they feel competent, or that they feel confident that you will be able to deliver at. In our clinic right now, I do PTA work. I don't get paid $15 an hour for it. Okay, there's a way, and I'll explain to you how. Okay, I don't want to give it away too soon, but Mr. Jones comes in. I got the tangent thing is it's an old bad habit.
I'm on the edge of my seat now, John.
Okay,
I'm ready for this. Jones
so you
comes
get
in.
Mr. Jones, 3 exercises, you go and you do it. Now, what happens is this: if the kin shows the initiative, they're required. Our practice standards say you have to confirm the reason for the referral. That doesn't mean you need to redo the physiotherapist assessment all over again. What's the referral? Here's Mr. Jones, please show him the following exercises. Your role, and as I was a peer assessor, I went through this a lot with our colleagues who I was assessing at the time. I'd say to them, your role is to determine, are these the right exercises for this individual? So you'll go through and you review the chart. And I've used this example a couple of times where it's like having the textbook and the answer sheet at the same time. So it's okay that you can't afford that $1,000 weekend course. You've got an opportunity to learn every single day in this job. And guess what? That physio, if they're typical of the people that I've been speaking with, would love it for you to turn around and kind of say, why didn't you try this test? Or, you know what, you're also allowed to do in a support role. And say, sorry, I'll stay on point. What you're also allowed to do in the support role is retest. Oh, they noticed the positive finding of this. Mr. Jones, I just wanted to take a look at things, see exactly where we're at. Are you okay with that? Yes, got consent. Okay, do the test. Oh, I'm getting a positive as well. Or, oh, I'm not getting a positive. What am I doing wrong? Go back to the physio. I didn't get a positive test on Mr. Jones. Is there something that I'm doing wrong? Can you help me understand how to do this better? Because what happens is, inevitably, the physio does something, sends somebody along, and maybe this only happens once every 10 years, but I've seen it, I've been there. Person sends a person in, you look at it and you go, holy smokes, we missed something big on this person.
Yeah.
They're being sent through as a PTA, which incidentally only means who's paying the bill. I'll explain a bit more about that.
Yeah.
And that's all it comes down to.
All it comes
First
down.
question we have, yeah. And so they come through and I go back to the physio and I go, Mr. Jones is showing, what do you think? And they go, oh, thanks for the catch. You just, saved my bacon. I really appreciate that. Physiotherapy assistant. Okay. So that person can end up being integral to the role. So what you're doing is,
so you're basically saying, take the role and then be a kin in it, and then you will be delivering that additional level of value that a registered kinesiologist can provide to that clinic and to those patients.
Yeah, when in fact we're required, even though they want to call the job title physical therapy assistant, we're a your card has to say registered kinesiologist first, and then they can put PTA at the bottom if they want. But there are practice standards we need to be aware of, and it's saving us, it's taking care of our client, but it's also saving our referral source, which in this case is the supervising physio. Now, let me get back to
your head, and always use your head and always engage.
Exactly. So it's a wonderful opportunity to learn things about orthopedic assessment and interventions, because you're the one delivering the interventions. But if they're coming along and saying, here's the assessment, here's what I want you to do, you need to then agree with them. Okay, let me review your notes. Sounds great. Who does it sound like is doing the supervising now? Let me review your notes. Is this a smart idea? Okay, now guess what else you can do in the role? Now, all of this, when I say what you can do, I'm not restricting our scope. What I'm saying is the insurance company who's paying basically says, we'll pay for a physiotherapist to either do or delegate this person's rehab, but we're not a kinesiologist right now. And I'm assuming that we're going to eventually get more exposure to these people.
Yes,
But yeah, well, you guys have been doing such a great work great job this year. I mean, it's bound to happen. So,
High fives.
And so, oh man, I lost my point. It comes down
We're
to
talking about the insurance company, right? So the insurance company is gonna, right?
Right. So the rule that the insurance company says is basically you need to follow the rules that the College of Physiotherapists of Ontario has for delegating responsibility. It means that the person who is delegating to an assistant has to be basically educated in the same kind of thing. So you can't have a physiotherapist, a physiotherapist who has never taken a yoga class at all, referring on to yoga and having their client be able to bill yoga under physiotherapy if that physio doesn't know yoga. Right. So, but the other thing is, you know, there's other stuff like they need to chime in every once in a while. It's about it depends who you talk to. We use every 12 weeks. Every 12 weeks, if the person's got like an amazing physiotherapy benefit plan without benefits for kins, they'll just run it, and every 12 weeks they go back into the physio appointment for another reassessment so that they can turn to the insurance company and say, see, I'm keeping track of this. Good, keep billing for that.
So how do we go then, John? How do we go from, because you've convinced me now that a PTA, taking a PTA really is a beneficial thing. But again, there's an onus then on the kin to really stand on their own 2 feet, understand what your scope is, understand your own regulations so that you can still remain autonomous in a kin position. So how do we go from not being paid $14 to $16 an hour for that role? Because that's where, you know, and I met with someone who is out west right now, so they don't have regulation, right? And she we literally, it was like we had this conversation hours ago, because that's what she faces is, you know, but how do I can't work off of 14 to 16 an hour, especially when we're throwing around that PTA title, which we all, at least in Ontario, understand that a kin title, for lack of a better way to describe it, is going to trump a PTA title in terms of level of education and experience and knowledge that you have. So how do we turn that PTA position now? Definitely experience. I'm on board with you now. I definitely agree to what you originally said. And when I said, I don't know if we agree on this, I agree. How do we turn it from 14 to 16 to
60?
Yeah. And it, you know, and maybe not for that initial kin, like first year grad who takes that PTA position. Maybe 60 is too big of a jump. But, you know, if you're coming out of university, my thought is we've gone 4 years of an undergraduate degree. That's similar to the amount of time spent. I know programs are different, but amount of time spent for a nurse who comes out and already their, you know, baseline salary, we're going to be talking at least in the 30s, at least mid-range 30s, right? Depending on where you're located in Ontario. So how do we take a PTA position and also make it not only experience impactful, but worth your time in terms of recovering an income?
So you learn how to, like, these jobs exist because of the mechanics of the business. So rather than refer to another physiotherapist, they're going to refer to an assistant because they pay the assistant less. The assistant does exactly what they want. They don't have to get into arguments with another colleague about what the proper care is, and go that way. But usually PTA roles are, you know, set number of hours a week, certain amount of dollars per hour, right? And so they're full-time or part-time. But anyways, there's a set number of hours a week. On the clinic owner, that's a stress. That's like you're in the expense column on the balance sheet. I need to generate the revenue to pay for you to be here. If you sat around and didn't do an hour of work all week long, I'm still on the hook to pay you. Right. But if they had a colleague who showed up who's getting paid for every session that they see. They might actually pay the colleague less than they're paying the PTA if the colleague's not busy. So you want to move from the expense column to the asset column. And how do you do that? Well, if you do those things that we talked about earlier, you start learning, you show more competence, you start to get your other people in the clinic, they start to feel more confident with your abilities. The way it is right now, we talked about before, person walks in, I need to see somebody for my back pain. Do you have physiotherapy insurance? No? See John. Because unfortunately, it's what we talked about before. I happen to be cheaper than the physiotherapists.
Right.
If you have physiotherapy insurance, it's cheaper if you see a physio.
Right.
So it comes back down to the finances. So how do I become an asset? You build up all these skills. You then start seeing people as a kin, right? Because the other reality of today is that most of the clients that I see have only got $500 of coverage for physio. They're going to burn through that in like not even 4 visits. Yeah. So do they need to see me as a physiotherapist assistant? They're like, hell no, because I need to pay physio rates to see you. I'm going to hire you as a kin. And I say, you know what? It's way better because now I'm not held by the rules of being a physiotherapist assistant, which is the physio, when they do their assessment, they need to create a treatment plan. And within the treatment plan, if they're smart, they give you leeway to be able to move with, and this, we've got such a great team here. We are like, we're of one brain, right? Basically. And so I get, the physio does the assessment, goes, go see John. And I see the physiotherapist, the treatment plan. I'm like, oh, you've got insurance. Yes, no problem. Let's move forward. But I've also seen people come straight in here to see me directly. And this is one of the things I'm trying to do more and more. People come in to see me directly. And as people are doing that, if you are that kin who's moving from PTA, starting to get more work as a kin in that clinic, the business owner goes, oh, this person's generating revenue for the business that I don't have to work for. I didn't have to work to get that business in the door. So where else could it be coming from? Well, you could do a follow-up call to people who are discharged from physiotherapy. Oh, do you know that we now offer kinesiology services? That's, come on back and we'll go over your home exercise plan. We'll take a look at how you're doing, and then you start bringing people back in. We also have far better training in metabolic conditions. The fact is, with the demographic aging the way it is, nobody comes in with a twisted ankle. Like, and this is when I was teaching at U of T. I was saying to the class, I said, enjoy this while it's simple, because when you're out there and you're dealing with a tennis player who has an ankle pain, a big swollen up ankle, it's not a sprained ATFL. It's chronic ankle instability matched with pre-diabetic, matched with some coronary, like a cardiovascular issue with pitting edema. You're juggling a lot of balls here, right? So there are a lot of things going on. And the physios have no idea how to handle that. It's our territory entirely. And so they're learning.
It's a foot in the door approach. It's actually extremely intelligent. And again, I would say we would have to match that opportunity. If you're a new kin, step into that position, sure, make that amount of money. Now I understand how you can become an asset, because again, you can continue to provide that education and demonstrate that importance, or have additional assessment that we're already mandated to have to do, right? Right. If treatment's not flowing the way it should be, and we can flag a chronic condition, because it's not just, an acute injury that took place and you rolled your ankle while trying to dive for a tennis ball. Now we have created value.
Exactly.
That's where that entrepreneurial component becomes so important. And that's not just entrepreneurial as in terms of running my own business. That's entrepreneurial in terms of looking to build the clientele for whoever it is that you might be working for at the time. As you say, the expense side of the sheet to the revenue side.
Yeah. And that way, so guess what happens to that PTA job? Disappears. Yeah. Because now they're like, we've got a kin who's highly trained, who we've seen come up. They are totally bought into the way we do things here. They're an integral part of the machine. Oh, and let's say, so professionals, therapists get paid on a percentage scale. So guess what? We're just going to give you what you're earning on your percentage scale. When we refer you a PTA referral, you'll get that same dollar value, because we don't want to demean what you're doing. And I'm telling you, this is the way. I know of 3 clinics that do it this way already, and people who I've met, who I assessed, who are in like a clinical kinesiology role, who also did PTA work mixed in with their kin work. And in most cases, the kin work was more than the PTA work. They still would earn whatever they earned as a kin, which would be a percentage. Usually you're looking at anywhere, it's hard to say from business to business, but anywhere, 40 to 60% of your billable amount. Say that dollar comes out to $60.
Mm-hmm.
And then they refer you a PTA client. You're making, they're usually half-hour appointments.
Yeah.
So it would be $30. You're making $30 in a half hour as a PTA. And they're happy to pay you.
So there's kind of 2 components here, which I think this is a fun discussion, John. This is great. Because there's the entrepreneurial determination of the kinesiologist, which is critically important. The other side to that is also having an enlightened clinic owner and enlightened physios to recognize where this value, where that value sits, because certainly some people, just like anywhere, right? I'm hiring you as a PTA, shut up and do your work. Versus sort of engaging in the way that you can engage, provide the additional value that you can provide, create the additional opportunities that you can create. So really, so part of the job, I guess, is not only trying to direct the kinesiologists into embracing and acting upon that entrepreneurial requirement, but also potentially to deliver some instruction or programming of some kind to clinic owners that say unlock the potential of kinesiologists.
Absolutely. If you came and said, hey, I'm noticing that other clinics are offering cancer programs, post cancer treatment programs, arthritis. There's a GLAD program if you get certified. So this brings around to what we're talking about, like the lack of formal education opportunities for kins is another one of the reasons why it's so easy for grads within the first 3 to 5 years to be looking around kind of saying, I don't know where this is going, but I don't like it. And I think I'm going to make a change. So I'm either going to go back to school or I'm going to just, get out of Dodge.
Yeah, get out of, go somewhere else where the kinesiology degree takes you. I mean, certainly, in the insurance sector, they love kins and health and safety. They love kins. There are a lot of employers that like kins. They like the attitude. They like the spirit. They like the smarts. Yeah. And you hit the 3 years of experience and the 5 years of experience kind of threshold that employers are looking for, and boom, other opportunities kind of present.
Now, just to get back earlier, what you had said about what are you dealing with the clinic owner that seems pretty rigid. I mean, ideally, can't really turn back the clock, but if you were to be able to walk into an interview and say, here's what I'm looking for. Like if you have a career path, and it's hard to say because nobody has a career path. Mm-hmm. We haven't helped them have a career path the way that, physios know what courses they're going to take as soon as they graduate. They know they want to work in orthopedics or neuro rehab, or they want to be a cardiovascular physio, which blew me away years ago when I found out that there are cardiovascular or respiratory physiotherapists. I thought, why? It didn't make sense to me, but there are. And so there you go, pediatrics, etc. So, but it's hard. It's very rare for a kinesiologist to be able to turn around and say, in 5 years, I want to do this. I want to be working in this field with this population. It's usually like you get out, you panic, you try to find some place to work, and you hope that they're nice to you. And and you try to learn as much as you go along. And we generally are very eager to learn and to do things. We've had a very diverse education where we've had to learn everything from humanities straight through to science and excel at all of it. You know, it's tough. So if you could walk into that role and say, hey, you know what? I'm looking to be able to do the following things. Is this something you could provide for me? And you're balancing out the interview. You're saying, like, I'm definitely here. I think I might not have the 3 years of experience you're looking for, but I'm looking forward to doing the following things. You might even turn around and say, there are these courses that I saw out that if I got the money to take, like I want to do the first 3 levels of the Mackenzie program because it's a very well-regarded, very well-known musculoskeletal approach to therapy. So, or whatever you might present to them, they're looking at you now saying, wow, this person's directed, they're motivated, we think they're going to be a really good fit possibly, or they're going to say, yeah, you're just too much for us. Guess what? Best that you know that as soon as possible.
Now, yeah.
Yeah, know it now. Hire somebody who came out of Mohawk College, okay? And I'm sure they'll be ecstatic to have, no, but seriously, like, and I'm not putting down Mohawk College, but it's like, that's where PTAs are trained.
Yeah.
And if that's the only role, like CBI Health have both PTAs and KINs, and the PTAs are diploma holders from a college, and the KINs do KIN stuff. And so anyway, and then the physios do some other stuff. So they have a funny way of dividing up the scope that works for them. And so that's that. The other part would be just going through the practice standards that we had talked about before. There are certain things that you can do just by going through charts, reading ahead of time. So it does require more work outside of the job, but it's your education, it's your enrichment, it's your professional development, and it doesn't cost a dime. Really, it doesn't cost you anything.
So do in your experience, and we have to wrap up in just a minute, but in your experience, does a graduating kin have what it takes to exercise that level of spirit to which you're talking about that's required to generate this opportunity?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got to realize, I think people still have this idea that once you graduate, the studying is over. And actually, you know what? You're just getting started. Yeah. Because what we're doing is we've been taught a whole bunch of scientific principles, and we've gone through a heck of a lot of material in those 4 years. But what they didn't teach you to do is apply it in a clinical environment. I mean, there are very, very few, if any, professors in kinesiology programs who are actually practitioners as well. Definitely not in the clinical realm. Okay, and so, but compare that against chiropractic and physiotherapy, where the vast majority of them practice at the same time that they teach and also do research. And the research is focused on their practice, things that they do in the clinical environment. Whereas us, we're still looking at a lot of basic or just more conceptual topics, or just more basic science type things. That's an overgeneralization because there's a lot of applied work being done as well, but nothing that you're going to be able to use on Monday.
Well, and it's still very fresh. I mean, when I remember when kinesiology was just was just becoming regulated. There, we had a lot of talk about the move from kinesiology as a discipline to kinesiology as a profession. And there's and the role that the academic community plays in helping to facilitate the professionalization of the professionals. So and that those things take time. I mean, there's no question.
We definitely have the correct kind of like the background of the materials, the knowledge base. Our knowledge of biomechanics and exercise physiology trumps other health professions. I mean, physicians learn this, but they're given it for like 45 minutes in one lecture, and they're expected to understand the textbook. So they're going to be paying attention to this stuff that's really going to like maybe kill you in their office. The other stuff, exercise physiology is pretty low on their priority list, right? Yeah. But for us, we can really improve people's health. And if you're able to basically say, hey, here's this other stuff that I can do. I have this base knowledge, and then I'm learning now how to apply it, whether it's through physical assessment, through general principles that you're going to know through your education that are going to allow you to really pick this stuff up very, very quickly. In closing, it's just finding, right now we have to create our own structure. Other professions have their structure. Here's what you need to know, get out and go. Orthopedics, boom, right. For us, it's a bit harder. So you need to look for those formal things. Maybe you want to be an AT, maybe you want to be a CEP, and you're going to go down that route. But for the clinical world, working in a outpatient MSK rehab clinic, there is no path. And so it's both an advantage and a disadvantage. But you know, what I'm hoping to do is help those people to make it easier, to make the information more accessible, and help them maybe basically shorten that learning curve, so that it didn't take them 20 years like me to get to where I am.
Yeah.
Well, I can affirm it only took me 10, so that timeline is starting to shrink. Didn't take 20, took 10 though, John.
That's good to know. Good to hear.
Thank you very much, John. Appreciate it. We are going to have to pick this up again. I mean, these are fantastic discussions. And really look forward to the courses that you're going to be helping us deliver to OKA members. And Devon, as always, thank you for setting this up, Devon. It's been this was a terrific go. I think I know in these things I love learning something, and I've learned a lot today. So hopefully people who are watching this have learned as well, and we look forward to seeing everybody again. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thanks a lot,
guys.
John.